YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with a video I do at this time every single year after the NFL draft, going over the top undrafted free agency, signing some good undrafted players out there to determine these rankings. Best available players after the draft, kind of combined with fit and chances that they can make the team and get some sort of shot playing. So all that kind of combined into these rankings. We're going to talk about more than just 10 guys, but focusing at first on the top 10 here. We have a bunch of videos already out covering the draft. Day 1 winners and losers, day 2 winners and losers, day 3 winners as well. All separate videos. I graded every single round 1 pick as well. All those videos up. There'll be more videos here this next week covering the NFL draft. Always do a 2024 mock draft, or the next draft's mock draft here. We'll do that likely tomorrow, which is Sunday. So yeah, we got you guys covered. Like, subscribe to notifications on. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. A lot of talk on there always. And our sponsors you see on the screen. There's also links pinned in the comments. Liquid IV, code GOAT for 20% off. GLD, code GOAT for 33% off. Have the Eagles chain on from the GLD shop. They have more NFL teams. A lot of sick jewelry there, so check it out. Links pinned in the comments. Number 10 undrafted free agency signing for me is Isaiah Moore, the linebacker from NC State, signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. I like this tape a lot. Surprised he didn't get drafted. I thought he can go maybe around round 5 as a solid inside linebacker. He wasn't super flashy. He's not, great in coverage, so maybe that's why he didn't get drafted. But, man, he gets downhill. He can fill gaps, running lanes, good run stopper. Like, he's your traditional inside linebacker. He gets the job done. Again, he's not super flashy, so maybe that's why he's not a huge name. But I do like this for the Chiefs. They got a couple good starters over there, but the depth definitely could be useful. He can make the team and be a legit, second string guy perhaps. So I do like that pick. I'm a little surprised he didn't go to a 3-4 defense, play 3-4 inside, but he fits as an inside linebacker in the Chiefs defense as well. I thought he would get drafted. I thought a team looking for a run-stopping inside linebacker, because there wasn't a long list of legit inside linebackers on top of it, so I thought for those reasons he would get drafted there. So he comes in at number 10. Number 9 is Sean Tucker, the running back from Syracuse, going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who is a phenomenal pass-catching back. He can get open downfield with, using his routes and catch the ball very well, and he's good after the catch. He's a solid runner as well, and he's a freak athlete. But, yeah, an issue that I notice a lot is he kind of abandon the original play, almost the hole, and he'll bounce everything outside quite a bit, I'm not a big patient running style type of guy. I don't love the patient guys where they sit there and wait for the best possible hole or moment. But he could be a little bit more patient. He's not patient enough. But he's an athlete. He can run. Just about seeing and hitting that hole is the key there. And he's a very good pass catcher, like we said. So Tampa got a pretty wide open room over there. They got some solid backs. Obviously, you'd think Rajon Wright would lead the way, but they'll have some opportunity there for sure. So you get a talented back coming in there at Tampa to compete. So number 9 is the Buccaneers signing Sean Tucker, undrafted. Number 8 is going to be Bryce Wheaton, the receiver from West Virginia. Big body receiver, lengthy, obviously. Big playability, especially contested catch situations, especially in the red zone. He tested surprisingly very well. Very well too. So I thought that, would have got him drafted for sure, on top of him already being a pretty solid player. But he goes undrafted. You wish he could get a little bit more separation. And he does have good hands, but then he'll have some simple drops simple catches that he would drop as well. Monster game against Pittsburgh to open the year, but he had a brutal drop at the end of that. But overall, tough hand, strong hands, big playability in terms of the contested catch ability in the red zone, and a pretty damn good athlete too. So he goes undrafted, and the Giants, had some guys kind of come out of nowhere last year, like Isaiah Hodgins. So could he be another guy like that could make some sense? But now all of a sudden they do have a pretty crowded receiver room. Not that they have a standout guy where it's hard to take over a spot. They don't have that. That's good news for a guy like Bryce Wheaton, but they do have a kind of a crowded room there. So it will be a little bit of a battle in camp, but he's got to make the list, because I thought he could have went as early as the 4th round. I thought he would get drafted. The 6th or 7th wouldn't really surprise me, but undrafted is surprising, and he'll be able to go in there and compete. in New York there. Number 7 is a safety, Brandon Joseph from Notre Dame, former Northwestern safety as well. Yeah, when he was in Northwestern, it was like, is this guy a future second or maybe first round pick? And then he's transferred to Notre Dame to almost, I mean, not the same style safety, but almost take over for Kyle Hamilton. It's like, all right, this guy's going to go in the first round. And overall, he was solid this year. Again, another one of those guys that really wasn't super flashy. I mean, when he did get his hands on the ball, I mean, the first play of the game against Syracuse, pick 6. But yeah, you wish he was a little flashier in both departments, but the run game especially. I like him in a split safety scheme. In the Lions do run 2-man under, so they'll have 2 safeties over the top, helping those corners in man coverage. So I do like that for Brandon Joseph. I think it's a pretty good fit. I mean, a split safety scheme in a cover 2 or cover 4 maybe would have been a little bit better, but either way, it's still a very good fit. And they can use a guy like that. I think he'll be able to come in there and compete for a job on the roster, as maybe a second string guy right away. But he's got experience. He's got good play in his past. He's got pretty solid instincts as well. So I definitely think he should make that team, and I really like the fit there. So, and again, there's a reason we were talking in the past about him possibly being a future like top 50 pick. So talent's definitely in there. And he's a solid punt returner as well. So Lions get a good one there. My number 7 undrafted free agency signing. Number 6, another safety, Quintin Johnson. Not as big of a name as Brandon Joseph, but this guy's pretty damn flashy. I like this tape a lot. It was really inconsistent. There's times where maybe he's looking like a 3rd round pick, and there's times where like you could see maybe why he gets close to or goes undrafted. But I like his range as a free safety, his playmaking ability. But where I really like him is around the box area, the slot area, kind of being a big nickel, maybe covering tight ends, because he's very physical. He'll be able to man up on some tight ends. He can hit as well. He will whiff on some tackles, but a guy you can move around a bit, play in the box or even play in the back end at free safety. He's a flashy dude, fun to watch. And then what factored in big time here is not only that I like the prospect, he's solid. I think he should have got drafted, but the Rams are pretty thin on safeties. They lost some guys in free agency, looking at Nick Scott, Taylor Rapp, guys like that. So Quintin Johnson come in there and compete for a legit spot on the roster there. So he comes in at number 6. Number 5 is Jalen Moreno Cropper from Fresno State. I was a huge Moreno Cropper fan. I loved his game. Guy was always open because he's fast, he's twitchy, gets separation, and he's a home run hitter after the catch. I mean, he's got good vision, field vision after the catch, or he can just beat you with his speed. Super productive. He's just constantly making plays, constantly getting the ball because he's open. So, you're trying to figure out what's the issues with him. He is very thin, very much on the smaller side. So I guess you can say he's undersized, but he's talented. I mean, a guy like Tank Dell is undersized, and he's better, obviously, but he goes really early in the draft. So, I mean, what's really the issue with Moreno Cropper here? So, Cowboys get a pretty talented receiver. You know what you're going to get with him. He's small, but he's going to get open, and he's not going to go run out of bounds or go down after the catch. Just because he's small, he's going to go find that end zone. He stood out to me a lot in that area. He was tougher to bring down than you would think based on how he looks, but the field vision after the catch was really good and knows how to use his speed, obviously. So, Cowboys, pretty good guy to learn behind Brandon Cooks, a guy maybe on the depth chart right behind Brandon Cooks, their new addition. So I was a fan. I like the tape of Moreno Cropper from Fresno State, super productive. Number 4 is going to be Emil Ekor from Alabama. I thought this guy would get drafted for sure. The guard from Alabama. Another one of those guys that maybe, 2 reasons on why maybe he didn't get drafted. I thought he could have went as early as the 3rd round. So that we're starting to get up there with the top tier undrafted free agents. But maybe why he didn't get drafted. He's not the greatest in space, and it kind of goes into the next part. He's not another one of those guys that's not like super flashy. You never go like, wow, like insane block or insane guard here, but he's good. He's consistent. He's good. He's pretty strong. He'll have some powerful moments as well. You wish he was a little better in space, but I think he goes to, the Colts with Shane Steichen's offense. I think it's a really good fit. I mean, you'll see some, quite a bit of inside zone like Steichen did with the Eagles. And that's where he's good. He wasn't going to be an outside zone, getting them out in space, on the outside. He wasn't going to be that. He's not going to be that with the Colts. So, and the Colts, their offensive line maybe isn't the same as it was a few years ago, but they're trying to get it back on track here. But so that they have somewhat of openings here and opportunities, I should say. So not only is a good player, kind of a steal as an undrafted free agent, if you will, but a guy that actually can come in there and compete is a good fit and be able to maybe get on the field sometime early in his career. So I did like that one a lot as well. One of the big time ones here. Another Alabama guy, Eli Ricks. I was back and forth between the two Alabama guys. Which one do I rank 3? Which one do I rank 4? They're both kind of up there for sure in the top 4. Eli Ricks is a former top-tier recruit, legit recruit, goes to LSU, and then ends up going to Alabama here. And you wish the play was a little bit better, a little more consistent. But he was a top recruit for a reason, and was wanted by LSU and Alabama for a reason. He's a very talented man coverage corner, very good in press, sticky in coverage. The big issue on why he went undrafted is because he's kind of had some character concerns. Maybe some off-the-field concerns. Nothing major recently, though. But then he is lacking some speed. He was in the 4.6s in his pro day 40. He didn't run at the combine. So that is pretty tough because corners that are 4.60 or worse just tend not only not work out, but at this point, since those ones did not work out, like it was literally a thing. Like corners had to be under 4.6 to even be decent in the NFL. So since that became a thing, the guys that were 4.60 and higher rarely even get the chance. So that is the tough thing for him. And he's a little thinner, and he's a man coverage guy, so you'd think he needs to be pretty speedy. So maybe it was the bad timing day there. But his press man ability is really good, and he was a top tier recruit for a reason. So you see the upside, and he doesn't have the snaps that you're looking for at college too, which is kind of a good thing here. It kind of says he has upside. So it's a guy, if he doesn't work out, it's either because he doesn't have the speed or because the character concerns. But he's talented. He's got the press man ability. He has upside. So. It's kind of a boomer bust undrafted free agent here. It's a little risky to rank him high because the speed, he very easily cannot work out, but talent is there. Eagles get a pretty good corner. They had Eli Ringo in the draft as well behind their big time starting duo, but the depth was thin. So getting these key depth guys was big. And you got, this video isn't, about guys like Ringo, but you guys like Ringo and Ricks that have upside behind the starters and solid guys there with Philadelphia and Slay and Bradbury. It makes a lot of sense, actually, to kind of help reach that upside and kind of sit for a little bit, but should make the team unless they get him in camp and they see he's just plain and simple, not fast enough, perhaps. Then that would be the reason. Out of the top 2, we got another corner, Rajon Wright from Oregon State, going to the Panthers. I love this one. I was a Wright fan. I actually thought he was better than his brother. His brother was a former Oregon State guy as well, and he got drafted by the Cowboys and he got some decent playing time with the Cowboys here and there. He's very, very similar, like long, athletic corner. Oregon State. I thought the younger brother right here was better though, and I like his playmaking ability. He knows how to use his length. He's pretty athletic out there. Can high point the football. He seems like you wish he was a little better impressed because he has the length and maybe the physicality to be able to do it. But he's all right at it. You wish you would have saw more of it. But yeah, off coverage makes some sense, and he goes to the Panthers. Ejiro Evero is over there now, coming from the Broncos. And he was with the Rams before then. He likes to run cover 4. He likes lengthy corners for that role. And I really see the fit there. And they needed a depth corner pretty bad as well. Because of they could get better at corner. I mean, not over J.C. Horn because he's a stud. They got other guys that can play, but you could find ways to get better. But there's also injury concern within that cornerback group as well. So adding a guy that I think is talented, I think could have went as high as the late 3rd round, early 4th would have made some sense, and he drops all the way undrafted through the draft really. And I like the fit in that cover 4 defense. Lengthy corner for Ejiro Evero makes a lot of sense. So. Good player, and I love the fit. So that's number 2. And then number 1, and we'll go over 5 more that I like as well. My number 1's got to be Ivan Pace Jr. from Cincinnati going to the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, this guy was in one of the most productive defensive players in the entire draft. Insanely productive. He's a disruptor. He'll kind of just take out offensive linemen and create for his teammates, disrupt the play. Usually those types of guys aren't super productive. They create for their teammates, but he was insanely productive. High motor dude, good blitzer. He's just very undersized. Very undersized. That's why he didn't get drafted. I'm surprised he didn't get drafted. I really thought somebody would take a shot on him. Like the talent said day 2, maybe even better. He even said he said it though, but he'd be a top 5 pick if he had the size that they're looking for. But he legit would have been, a day 2 pick with the right size. But yeah, he has the shortest arm length out of any linebacker in the NFL. That actually was the case for Malcolm Rodriguez coming in the draft last year, who talent-wise looked easily like a second-round guy, but he drops because of that, and he ends up being good, obviously. So Pace Jr. even smaller than him, and he is scheme-specific on top of that. So there was only, he probably needed a heavy blitz team. He needs to be an inside linebacker, probably 3-4 inside linebacker and a heavy blitz team. So, it's only a handful of teams, maybe a little more than a handful. So those are the reasons he ended up slipping through. Still shocked he didn't get drafted, but he goes to the Vikings, and this is a perfect fit. Because I thought the Vikings could have added a blitz linebacker because they added Brian Flores as defensive coordinator, and they don't really have that like sure thing blitz linebacker in there. And they moved on from Eric Kendricks on top of it. They'll probably start Hicks and Asamoah, but they definitely need somebody else. And so they're a little disappointed that they didn't grab one, but here you got one that was worthy of getting drafted, and they get undrafted. So that was big time. I fully expect this guy to not only make the team, but be used by Brian Flores in his defense because he's talented, he's a disruptor, he's very productive at the same time. So this is going to be a blitz machine. But he's more than just a blitzer as well. The other issue is, he's not the best in coverage, but they're not going to ask him to do that there. So this was a big time undrafted free agency signing here for the Minnesota Vikings. And again, I'm expecting him to not only make the team, but be somewhat used for them. And then, I could have put a huge list here, and there's still some good guys that aren't signed yet. But 5 more that kind of stood out a little bit to me. MJ Anderson, which didn't really get any talk, and I don't know if there's anybody even talking about him as a decent undrafted free agent guy. But I was watching Will McDonald tape in Iowa State, who I was a big fan of, and number 3 is standing out to me. I'm like, I don't even know the name. I just saw the jersey number 3, and then I'm like, all right, that's MJ Anderson. He's standing out to me, making big time plays in the backfield. I'm like, all right, MJ Anderson, like he looks pretty good. I know he doesn't have the measurables, and Iowa State runs that 3-man rush, and so how do you use him in the NFL? And he doesn't have the speed either. So that's the issue with him. That's exactly. I am not surprised one bit that he didn't get drafted, even though I had a 5th round grade on him. Because he's like a 5 flat or 5'1" type speed. His build is in between an edge guy and like a 3-4 end or 3 technique. It's kind of, or I guess we'll say his build is in between an edge and a D tackle. So is he a tweener? Don't love the speed. Don't love the measurables. So what the hell do we do with him? That's why what teams are thinking. That's why he went undrafted. But he's a pretty good football player, and I do like the fit with the Seattle Seahawks. I think he'll be a 3-4 end. They signed Draymond Jones, a big-time 3-4 end to be that. So Anderson will get to learn behind him as well. He's one of those guys where like he doesn't have the things you look for in terms of the speed and the measurables, but he's a ball player. He's a disruptor as well. So I like that one. Earl Bostic, we talked about the Cowboys already with Moreno Cropper, and we're going to talk about it again. They got Earl Bostic from Kansas to tackle. Very athletic tackle. It's a guy you want to work with, guy with a lot of upside. I mean, you see tackles in the NFL, and the best ones, they have the foot quickness and the athleticism is the guy like that. So you see some upside there. It's definitely it was probably a guy worth drafting because of that. Then Mitchell Tinsley from Penn State, formerly from Western Kentucky, was very, very, very productive at Western Kentucky, where they passed a ton. And he was productive at Penn State. It felt like used more as a target downfield than the better Penn State receiver in Parker Washington, who got drafted. So Tinsley was even used more as a downfield target than him. So that's good. Overall productive career. he was better in Western Kentucky's offense, which is okay. But he goes to the Commanders, and they had a little bit of a crowded receiver room, but he's talented. Good, quick separator, downfield guy. Could make that team. Then Joey Fisher's offensive lineman from Shepherd, so small school guy, tackle that I do like the upside at guard. I was impressed by him. Physical dude. 49ers definitely needed some help on the offensive line. They always got some guys stepping up for them, so I like the fit there as well. Like, he's a sneaky guy to make the team, maybe not even make the team, but be a legit second string and have to fill in for somebody. So I like that. And then Ronnie Hickman for Ohio State. Moved around a bit throughout his career. Felt like they found a pretty good role for him this year, but he can play free and he can play up in the slot. And he stays in Ohio and goes to the Cleveland Browns. So I feel like he still has some upside if you just kind of find the right role for him. But he had a pretty solid year, definitely an improvement this year. So kind of shows some good things going forward. So those are some ones that stood out there. There's more very solid, free agents. You kind of get an idea who I like, and if you follow us on Twitter, I've been tweeting out a spreadsheet with all my position rankings, so you kind of can see for yourself who, basically by the grades and the rankings there, who I think is a very good undrafted free agent and the top guys available. So, and we're always talking about these things in news, rumors with you guys on Twitter, so it's a good reason to follow that. Links pinned in the comments for that, and our sponsors, anything else. There's more guys that'll sign too, more good guys, so we'll continue talking about that on Twitter and more videos on the way. Check out our recent winners and losers videos for each day of the NFL draft. Those are already out, and then we graded every single day one pick as well in a video, so you can check that out. And then definitely more to come, grades, rankings. But first, I do want to do a 2024 mock draft. I always do it on the Sunday after the draft, Sunday or Monday. So we'll get to that. Next year's class looks pretty good at this early stage. So excited. It's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.